This is the Aftermarket Radio Network.
Welcome everyone to yet another episode of Diagnosing the Aftermarket A to Z. I'm Matt Fanslow, and if the Bears beat Detroit and Denver beats Atlanta in the American Southwestern Division East Northern, then Milwaukee goes to the Denzel Cup. Unless Baltimore can upset Buffalo and Charlotte ties Toronto, then Oakland will play LA and Pittsburgh in a blind choice round robin. And if no clear winner emerges from all this, a two-man sack race will be held on consecutive Sundays until a champion can be crowned. That and more after a message from our sponsor, NAPA Autotech Training. Let NAPA Autotech's Build-A-Tech program, like Build-A-Bear, help you turn your general technician into a moneymaker for your shop. Make them a profitable member of your team. Go to napaautotech.com for more details. All right, it's been impressed upon me. Okay, I asked. Now that Sean's taken a little hiatus, more technical content would like to be heard from this podcast and maybe others, but I can only control this one. I guess I got a couple of stories about some vehicles you may or may not find interesting. To start out, I had a 2013 Ford Edge with a complaint that their cell phone would periodically lose connection to the sync system, the Ford Sync. What's the diagnostics? I didn't see any DTCs. Everything seemed to work normally, so NPF shipped the car. My reasoning or my logic was I didn't see anything obvious. I did link my phone to it, played music and whatnot. It's probably the first time that vehicle's ever heard Motionless in White, but I had it blaring pretty good for quite a while. Didn't realize any sort of issues. Drove it around for grins. Again, no issues. But I guess my line of thinking was they have a fairly new iPhone and this vehicle is 2013. And as far as I could tell, so with these vehicles, with Fords particularly, and what you might call pre-FDRS, you can go in through Ford Service Info, like Motorcraft Service. There's a utility that will allow you to connect to the vehicle through your VCM2, VCM3. It may work with VCM1, but for sure I can speak to VCM2, VCM3, and you can kind of see. So for one, connected to the vehicle and see what's in there for versions. You could also go to the Ford website for Sync specifically, build the vehicle and see what Ford sees as being the latest that vehicle had programmed to it. And they matched up. So there's nothing crazy going on there. But what I could see was it's never been updated since it came off the line. Some of you are cringing already, and for good reason. I decided to update the APIM, which the acronym, I think, if I remember right, is Accessory Protocol Interface Module. Most techs, if you will, with experience programming APIMs, don't have a lot of good stories to tell. So that's what happened to me. I decided to try to program this. To do that, you do use FDRS. So I said this is a pre-FDRS vehicle. It would be IDS normally. But if you do fire up FDRS, plug into the vehicle OBD2 port, open up FDRS, it'll ID the vehicle, say it's not an FDRS vehicle, except for, guess what? APIM/sync. And then, of course, you proceed, and it's going to go through an update process. Part of that process is through the DLC, or OBD2 port. Part of that is through a USB cable. So USB-A to USB-A, the larger USB cables like we're used to using, plugging into our laptops for whatever interface, that's USB-A. I have purchased these cables a while ago for this purpose, and thought I was ready to go. FDRS kind of gets done doing its thing through the DLC. It now wants to go through the USB port. Need this cable, and there is a link to a driver I will need. And that's kind of where the adventure starts. That link doesn't take me anywhere. A page that I'm told I have no access to. It takes me to the PTS, which is, I think, Professional Technician Society, which is kind of the Ford dealer tech site. I try to use my Motorcraft service credentials. It's not working. I can't get this driver. I know there's a means to do this with a USB like flash drive, but I'm kind of in too deep. So what do? You start looking for a means of getting this driver. I also filed an SIR because I should have access to this. I've paid my money. I'm trying to do things the right way. I should be able to do this. I can't get access to this driver. Luckily, Diagnostic Network has a few posts, and Opus had shared the driver needed. Download the driver, install it, hook up the USB cable to my laptop, the USB cable to the car. You're instructed to keep the DLC connected, and then nothing. Well, nothing meaning a black screen on the sync. Nothing was working anymore, at least with the radio. The climate control luckily still worked because there's physical buttons. And there I sat. I made it worse. How badly did I just brick this? The good news is I could still talk to it. So that, probably makes it so it's not bricked. But it's certainly not progressing. I restarted the update. No go. Tried a CD or capacitive discharge, which is a fancy way of saying disconnected battery cables and shorted them together for a while. Hooked them back up. Still nothing. Black screen. Cried to a couple of friends. And then, it's like I can talk to the APIM. I had seen somewhere, I believe, Diagnostic Network. I'm almost positive. I saw a post on Diagnostic Network where a Ford dealer tech had chimed in saying this is a really, really common problem for them, that they have had mild success with updating the FCIM, or the front control interface module. So I tried that. That didn't result in anything working, but updated the front control interface module. Then I did a CD again to no avail, but I could talk to the APIM. So I did one more last ditch effort, and I'm pretty sure I didn't think of this on my own. I'm pretty sure I've read this somewhere or heard it from someone. And if I had to name names, I'm almost positive a while ago, Pedro Della Torre was telling me about an adventure he had with an APIM and had got it back by doing kind of, if you will, forced as-built data, meaning going into the as-built data, whether it was with IDS or Forescan, and typing in the digits that you would get on Motorcraft Service in I think it's the quick guides. So it's on the free side, free resources, quick guides, module build data, in parentheses, as built. Go in there, type in the VIN, select which module it is. In this case, it'd be the APIM, or I don't know, you necessarily have to select it. You just scroll to it. And you're going to get some rows of alphanumeric digits in groups of 4. Punch them in. And all I saw on the screen was sync. And I'm like, okay, this seems like a progress, but I didn't move from that. But then I did another CD. I did that for about 10 minutes, hooked it all back up, turned the key on, and then I saw the word sync on the screen. And then boom, I had my radio back. Magically, the freaking update went through. I mean, that's kind of mind-boggling. So the radio kind of came back, or not kind of, it did. And then I went to a black screen, which then I went into panic mode. And then I saw update, I think 1 of 8. It was now updating through the USB cable. And 1 of 8, 2 of 8. I think it got up to 6 of 8, and then it went black again. I'm like, great. It's just going to be more of this, or I'm not going to be able to get it back. But then it finished. I could see that it finished through the Motorcraft Service website. I could see that it went through on the kind of the Ford Sync site. It's on the Ford.com Sync Maps updates. And I could see that the update went through on there, or at least Ford thought it did. Verified it through Motorcraft Service. They used to call it Oasis, which I don't know if that's so much a thing anymore. So yeah, now everything worked. A few weeks, it sounds like that was a permanent repair. The client says that the disconnect issues are gone. And my reasoning was, older programming with a newer phone could be full of crap. It could have been just a bug that I flashed out of it, or it's going to disconnect right now because I said that it's been good. That's usually how my life works. If I just stayed quiet, it would be good. But no, it's on a podcast. That thing's coming back next week. Then I'll have to really fix it. NAPA Autotech training sessions are being conducted day and night in a town near you. This training caters to every level within your organization, be it a mechanical assistant, a mechanical specialist, a technology specialist, or a driver safety calibration specialist. Imagine a one-stop shop training partner in NAPA Autotech that will lead your team to a path to greatness. Autotech's entry-level Build-A-Tech classes convert the untapped potential of your new hires into money-making mechanical specialists. Autotech's higher-level tech update classes introduce specialists to the world of ever-changing technologies, which prevents your shop from getting technologically stagnant. Remember, if you're not moving forward, you're falling behind. And, turning to the front of the store, the Autotech Service Advisor class is an awesome way to hone your client advocate skill set, ultimately benefiting the customer through an improved vehicle repair experience. But it doesn't stop there. Imagine an electric vehicle class that takes your specialist well past the mundane, yet necessary safety topics. Well, it's here. Autotech's EV Ready training is a week-long curriculum that takes participants through a hands-on experience involving hybrids and electric vehicles. The session kicks off with the use of PPE and proper tooling while touching on required OSHA regulations. Then, the students dive into the lab vehicles to gain knowledge of the common high-voltage components on EV and hybrid vehicles and their function. Attendees will be taken on a path exposing them to different electric vehicle manufacturers to compare component form and location. Additionally, information about Level 1 and Level 2 charging systems will be included, along with a quick look at DC to DC charging. The operation and maintenance of subsystems are explored, including the different modes of Tesla operations, and so much more. So what are you waiting for? Commit to taking your business to the next level with NAPA Autotech training. My next vehicle was a 2014 Jeep Grand Cherokee, and this was sent by a really good repair shop about half an hour away, and they had condemned the wireless control module, the WCM, which is essentially the ignition switch for a fobic style key. And then to add another wrinkle to this, that this is really a push button start. You have a fobic style key, which some people call them, I think, tombstones. They're Mercedes they had some that looked just like it. They're the square end plastic, no metal blade. And so they condemned the WCM, get one from the dealer. And with their aftermarket scan tool, just a straight up scan tool, not a mobilizer tool or anything like that, not a key programmer, they have the capability of performing the replacement if they can get a PIN code. And the PIN code we'll just say, is kind of like a password, 4-digit password. The dealer was nice enough to provide them with a PIN code. That's not really common. Maybe some of you have good luck with that, but they've really clamped down on that. And I don't know that it's the dealers so much saying, we're not doing this anymore. I could be wrong, but I think they're given X amount of PIN codes per month. So they need to kind of keep those, or they want to. I could be totally full of it too. They may be under instruction not to. That we have ways to get those PIN codes through NASTA and the vehicle manufacturer website, whatever. They get this PIN code. They perform the replacement function and punch in that they punch in the PIN code that they were given. And now they give me a call because they can't add the keys, the old keys. The customer had 2 keys, and every time they went to add the keys, it'd fail. So I kind of suggested to them possibly that those keys were locked, meaning they know they've been programmed to a vehicle. Maybe they have information written to them, maybe not. Of course they would have some information, but in details, they may have some detailed information with that specific vehicle. Some keys, if you read them with proper tooling, it will actually have the vehicle VIN number in there. They may just know they've been programmed to a car, so they're not going to program to anything ever again unless they're unlocked. So I suggested that could be the case. They did not like the price of a new key from Chrysler, and they really didn't want to tow the vehicle to my shop. So idea I had was maybe call up the hardware store, Ace Hardware. A few of them have a pretty good inventory of keys. I don't know if they're going to have proxy fobic keys. Maybe. but it was worth a call, right? Just check. The thing is don't let ACE program the key. Don't let them. I'm not thinking they would actually program the key. I was more concerned they might try to clone it. And I know, proxy and cloning, and that's probably not really a thing, but I just didn't want them to get a new key and have it corrupted in some way. It might be total BS, might be me making stuff up, but I thought better safe than sorry than to plunk down the money for the key, have them do their thing, and then it won't work anyways. Just get the key itself and try to program it with your tool. You have the PIN code, should be good to go. They ended up going to a parts store. They got an aftermarket key. It's not a proxy key, but to program the keys, you pop the start-stop button out of the WCM, stick the key in, turn it on, and then using the PIN code they successfully added the aftermarket key. No proxy functions. Then they can drive it to the shop and see if I can add these 2 original keys. Drive it over. I hook up with a mobilizer tool. And honestly, I don't need to put over any one tool in this case. The many tools will do this. The AutoProPad G2, G3, the Autel IM508, IM608, the Top Done T Ninja, the Ultra Diag, Autotech might do it. There's a great many tools that will pull the PIN codes out of, if you will, early Chryslers. Non-can, if you will. Delete the non-can. The non-rolling codes, right? So I pull the pin, matches the pin they put in there, and using the YTech I decided to use, go to add the keys, and I successfully add them, as far as I can tell, to the WCM. But when you're done doing that, for the proxy functions to work, you need to take that data out of the WCM and share it with another module called the PEM module, or the passive entry module. That's where things went sideways. I tried to do that, and you do that basically with a replace function, whether you replace it or not. That's going to kind of form a handshake, if you will, and exchange data, and it fails. It fails multiple times. The reason it fails, the tool says so. That the PIN code in the PEM module does not match the PIN code in the WCM. So now I go plunk down some money to find out what the PIN code's supposed to be. And the PIN code I get is different than the PIN code they were given. Well, it's already written to the WCM. Now, there probably is ways, and I won't say probably, we know there are ways that this could be changed. It's just not easy. And it's not the shop's fault. They didn't make the mistake. So I suggest to them, I call them up and say, hey, I think they accidentally gave you the wrong PIN code. Maybe they keyed the VIN in wrong. I don't know. However they get the PIN codes on accident, they gave them the wrong one. We need a different WCM. They call the dealer. The dealer's like, well, of course it changed. They change, overnight or whatever. When we gave you that PIN code, you needed to go add the keys right away, or, do the replace function of the WCM right away. The code changed, the PIN code changed. So now you need to buy another WCM. They call me back. Shop calls me back. I'm like, I disagree. I don't think that's the case. I don't think we had rolling codes, and you guys probably know better than I. I don't think that started till 2017, 18. The other thing is when you go to pull PIN codes, when you have a rolling code style, if you will, it doesn't work. It seems odd. Like you get oddities. It's not a repeatable function with the same 4 numbers, or 4-digit number, if you will. There's just clues like, I don't know if I trust this PIN code. So 2014, I think this is a non-issue. This is not a rolling code. But if you want, let's just wait. I will wait till tomorrow. I'll pull the PIN code out of the car. I will go and plunk down some more money and get a PIN code again and see what we get. And the next day, nothing changed. They call the dealer, explain the situation again, explain that it did not change. So they're issued a new WCM. And now the correct PIN code is used. And now I can't add the original keys. So I have a tool made by X-Horse that allows me to connect to the keys and renew the remotes or unlock the keys. And I unlock the 2 old keys, And now I could add them and successfully programmed them or learned them or adapted them to the WCM, and then did the PM replacement, and I guess the vehicle is fixed. So I don't know, it was kind of interesting as it was happening, and there's just kind of the layers of issues with one accidentally being given the wrong PIN code, really having the ability to do quite a bit of it, if not all of it, but it goes sideways when you're kind of given the wrong info. And then, maybe the act of trying to add those keys a few times forced me to need to unlock them. That ended up not being a really big deal. Opening up the keys doesn't take long. Hooking up to the boards didn't take long. And the renew function was very rapid. Put them all back together. They programmed immediately. So yeah, all in all, it was a pretty good deal. And yeah, sent them on their merry way. So I hope you got a kick out of those two. Yeah, if you have any more ideas about technical subjects, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I'm pretty easy to find on social media. You can instant message me or give me an email at mattfanslowpodcast@gmail.com. Yeah, I'd like to thank the NAPA Autotech training for sponsoring, and I'd also like to thank the Aftermarket Radio Network. And until next time, take care.
You've been listening to Matt Fanslow, diagnosing the aftermarket A to Z on the Aftermarket Radio Network. Follow Matt on your favorite listening app. He's very interested in what you have to say. Let him know what you'd like him to cover and come on the show. Matt is all for advancing the aftermarket. Find Matt Fanslow on social media and connect or on aftermarketradionetwork.com.